Good evening, and welcome to today's edition of Keeping It Real with Rammona. I'm really excited because I have a very special guest and a dear friend here with me today. Her name is Sangiita Kochhar, and I am just thrilled to have this conversation with her today. Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi, Rammona. I'm so
How are
happy to
you?
be here. I'm good and I'm so happy to be here. This is really exciting. I've been watching all your episodes and it's an honor to be your guest.
I'm so happy you're here, Sangeeta. I will just introduce Sangeeta briefly. She is an Access Consciousness Certified Facilitator, also a BAS Facilitator, an Access Body Process Facilitator, Right Body for You Facilitator, and a Talk to the Entities Facilitator. She's someone who travels the world globally. She facilitates classes in different locations, and what she really does beautifully is she helps people find, the change that they're looking for in a very beautiful manner. So I think that is something she does very beautifully. And in fact, my first introduction to Access was Sangeeta. So she's got a very special place in my heart. And I remember calling her up. I called Sangeeta and I said, Sangeeta, I'd like to have a session. And it was interesting because my first experience was actually learning the bars versus, a session. And the way that happened was quite interesting. And we did do some sessions after that. And like I said, she's someone who helps people choose more, change their lives, and gravitate towards more joy. I think that's something that I've watched her do over the years. And amongst a lot of other things that Sangeeta is, she's been an energy healer for a very long time. And before she came to Access, she was searching for something more. I think she went through a lot of different modalities, and there was something that she was looking for, which she somehow found, that she hadn't been able to find, right? She is a hitchhiking gypsy of sorts, and her healing journey actually spans over 18 years. So, even the other modalities, I think, Sangeeta, that you explored, you had a lot of gratitude for the change that you were able to get. But I think, like I said, that there was something you were searching for, which, only when you came to Access is when you found that. So I'd love to, jump into a conversation about that. Maybe we can start with that, what was it that you were searching for? And when you came to Access, what is it that it did for you?
So, it's very interesting that you mentioned all those healing modalities, and I am really grateful for each one of them. So, I've always been like, I would call myself a misfit because I always like to challenge the right way of living, the right way of being, according to other people's standards. And I grew up in this, pretty traditional. Well, they weren't really traditional. I think the women in my family have always been more modern than the, and we were given like the best of education. We were exposed to a lot of things. And I didn't live in India. I lived in Indonesia all my growing years. And then there were some situations that took place in Indonesia. There was like an economic slump, and there were like a lot of riots, and so my family was very concerned, and they wanted like all the kids to be, in India. And I came back, started working here, and of course got married here. And for me, while I was growing up, it was everybody used to keep telling me that when you get married, you'll be fine, as though there was something wrong with me. And then once I got married, everybody kept saying that once you have children, you'll be fine. So there was always this thing projected that because I didn't fit in and because I always wanted more from life, there was something wrong, right? So I don't know how many people go through that, but it's like, oh, you get a good education, your job is to get a good job and then find a good man and then have good kids, and that's about it. But none of that made me very happy. And from a very young age, I started searching for something different. Like I remember I was 15 when I was first exposed to a very different way, a very different modality of healing. And then when I was 18, I did my first Reiki workshop. And hence on, every weekend I was in a workshop. And I was like, there's got to be something more in life. So I learned everything under the sun. And as grateful as I am for all of them, the joy was very short lived.
Okay.
Because and without making any modality wrong, most modalities that I experienced
Yeah.
spoke to me about. I guess they were trying to say the same thing. It's just that they worded it very differently, and I got it very
Yeah.
differently.
Yeah.
Is that they told me that if there's something that is not okay in my life, then there must be something that I have done in the past for which I am now
So
paying
like
the price.
the karma piece is what you're talking about, right?
Basically.
More of the karma
And
piece. Yeah.
yeah, so either you go through it like graciously, or
Yeah.
then you need to do this whole forgiveness and repentance thing.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk about. I laugh a lot about this, but there was a lot of talk about like having to peel the onion and go through those emotions again, and go through that pain again, and then forgive everyone. And it was so painful. I did it all, though. I did it all,
Yeah.
except that the joy was very short lived.
Yeah, understood. And I
Yeah,
think I can, relate to what you're saying because, I've also over the years, experimented and learned different modalities.
yeah,
And one of the things which, leaves you with a heavy feeling is when it's like about, what's going to happen in the future, in the sense it's like, you know, do these good deeds now so that you have a better life in the next lifetime.
yeah,
But good
yeah.
morning, hello, we are live right now. Why do we have
But
to wait for
now,
the next lifetime? What about right
I
now?
know,
I,
I
I
know,
think
it's
that's the appeal of access, right, Sangeeta? Because it's about like be happy now, live your life
yeah,
now.
yeah. I think that is what kind of like clicked for me, because when I walked into my first access workshop, the first thing they told me is there's nothing wrong with you. You made
Yeah,
some choices that are not working for you, and you know what? You can make some different choices now. That's it.
yeah,
And that for me was like, I was like, you mean I don't have to like go back into my past, and I don't have to worry about what I've already done in the previous lifetime,
yeah,
and even if I kill someone, it's okay. I can choose something else now.
yeah,
And they were like, pretty much. And I was like, freak, okay, I'm ready, And then there was no turning back, because then it was all about what would I like to create my life from here on. And then
right.
anything and everything that had happened in the past, good, bad, ugly, it didn't really like. It started losing its significance in my life. Otherwise, it was this big baggage that I was carrying. Things that happened as a kid, things that happened while you were growing up. Like I had held on to them for so long and like tried to make sense of it. Why?
Yeah,
Like why? And the why never got answered. And here was a modality that told me like throw the why out. There's never a
yeah,
good reason. The reason is only because you
true.
chose to experience it. Now, what would you like to experience? That was a freedom of another kind. And then, of course, there was no looking back after that first access class.
Yeah, I think once you did your first access class, you went ahead and probably chose more, classes, and you decided to, become a BAS facilitator and a certified facilitator. So I'd love to know, of course, I've been on the receiving end and I'm so grateful for that, you know. But tell me, in terms of your own experience, facilitating those classes, how has that been for you and how has it changed your life?
So, Ramona, actually, interestingly, I didn't think that I was going to become a facilitator.
Okay,
I was in a very bad space in my life when I found access.
all
Uh,
right.
I know most people who know me
Would you
already know this.
would you be comfortable talking about the space you were in, Sangeeta?
Of course, I mean, where I am today, I would talk about anything.
Okay, let's talk about it. So where were you? And so let's talk about that a little bit.
So I was diagnosed with bipolar, and I was on like some 9 or 10 pills a day, and
Yeah,
it was a struggle to just wake up in the morning. And most nights I just wished that I didn't wake up in the morning. But
yeah,
interestingly, I had two little babies to take care of. My son was only My daughter was about 2, and my son was 6 years old. And it was I think it was because of them that I like kind of pushed myself to be what this reality calls sane, so that I'm functional and that
yeah,
I can take care of them. But I did crave to be happy. I wanted to be happy being a mother. I wanted to be happy raising kids. I wanted to be happy with everything that I'd chosen as my life. But I wasn't. And I was on those freaking pills, which kept
yeah,
me mostly sedated. I was always sleepy, always irritable, always tired. and I was borderline depressed at all times. And if I missed a dose, I would go into like a total depression and not come out of my covers for so long. And that didn't work very well. It doesn't work well when you're a mother of two. When you're on your
I know
own,
it's very. I can understand. It's very tough. Yeah,
now you are responsible for two more lives.
of
So,
course.
and having grown with a very not present mother who then decided to check out very early in life, the one thing I didn't want to be was like my mother, but I could see that I was turning just like her.
So when you're saying check out, you're saying that she passed away at a young age. You were young when she
Yeah,
passed
well,
away.
she was also mentally always checked out around me and my brother. Me and and it was like I could see life repeating itself. I could see myself as that checked out mom. I could see
Yeah,
myself being so depressed. I could see myself wishing not to live, just
yeah.
like she did probably. And I was like, oh my god, all I ever said in my life was that I never want to be like her. That when I have my kids, I'm going to be there for them. But I was not being that. I was turning into her, and that was very, very frightening. That was very frightening because I knew what it was to not to grow up with a non-present mother, and I didn't want to put my kids through it. So I think the search for more came about that. Initially, my search for more was there's got to be more in life. I'm sure it's not just what everybody tells you to do the right thing, and I'm sure there's more. I'm sure you are capable of much more. But then when I had my kids, it just boiled down to uh, can I just be a mother that's present with them and a contribution to them instead of being a checked out mom who's depressed all the time? And it was very funny, but I was mostly a very, very tired mother who was always angry and edgy. And then one fine day, I just kind of, how like a little kid, you throw in the towel and you go like, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to take care of my kids. I don't want to take care of my house. I'm done,
Yeah.
and I'm not doing this anymore. And I just like sat like this big sulky baby, and I opened my laptop and I see this little ad that says access bars. Okay, touch 32 points on your head, change your entire life, and a couple of testimonials that said that everybody's becoming happier. And I'm like, okay, if this is, I'm just gonna go give it a shot. And to be very honest, I was already at the tail end of trying everything. So it was more from a space of I do want to take care of my house and I do want to take care of my kids. And tomorrow is Sunday. I'd rather be in a workshop, so I went. Wasn't about I hope this helps. So that was great. I didn't go in with the expectation to change my life. I think that was one place. I think that was also one of the reasons why my whole life changed because I was like, I'm just going there to sleep. And I really did that, Rammona. I was so tired
Yeah.
that I entered the class. And after the first introduction, when they told me that, you know what, you can choose other things now. You don't have to. I just relaxed so much that I passed out. I slept. I have no clue
How
what happened
beautiful.
in that class, but I know that everything changed after that class, which was very interesting for me.
Thank you
And
so much for being so vulnerable, Sangeeta. I think it's very brave of you, as a woman, as a mom, to, recognize the pattern that was going on in your life. And to, I know you're saying that even when you went for that workshop, you went maybe for a different reason, but I'm sure somewhere it was because you really, really, desired the change.
oh
And
yeah, of course. I mean, I prayed every night that I did. Like I prayed. I was like, dear God, if you exist, please don't let me
yeah,
be my mom. That was my only ask. Like,
yeah.
please don't let me be my mom. Like it
And
was
I
just
mean, I
that.
have to
And
say, I've seen you as a parent, and you're the most chilled out, relaxed, and joyful, sort of parent to be around. I don't live with you as your child, but if I did, I'm sure that's the experience I would have had. So I
well,
mean, it's incredible that from that space of being a checked out parent and not really wanting to be a parent and not wanting to wake up the next day and just being exhausted all the time to actually being someone who's inspiring other people to change their lives, be leading a life of inspiration. So tell me, Sangeeta, I mean, thanks for sharing this part of your journey. So what happened with the medications that you were on? And again, coming back to the question of
so yeah,
how facilitating changed your life. So can we talk about what happened with the medications you were on? And I have a
yeah.
couple of
So,
comments here which I'll just
yeah,
share
it was
quickly.
Okay.
So I think I don't know if you can see it on the screen. Yeah, Kamaljean says that's so amazing, Sangeeta, and Samara saying great. I think this comment came when you were talking about how you changed your life basically by attending that one access class, and you walked in without any expectations, and then you were able to change your
Yeah.
entire life. Arjun says more power to Sangeeta and Ramona for changing the world. So sorry, go ahead, Sangeeta. So tell me what happened with the medications you were on, and then I do want to talk about,
Yeah.
you know, the facilitating bit. You said you didn't
Yeah.
want to become a facilitator initially.
Well, I didn't plan it. I didn't plan it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it was extremely interesting to see that when I walked out of that workshop, I felt different. I don't know what was different, but I felt different. And
yeah,
I could make out that something had shifted because I was looking forward to waking up every day and discovering something about myself, which had hadn't happened in like a lot of years. And
wow,
because of the tools and because of what I'd learned in the class, I was willing to like apply it immediately because of this little shift. And I
yeah,
could see that I was being able to be more present with my children, even if it was for 5 minutes. It was very different from being completely checked out. So I was extremely ecstatic. And then I was like, if one class can do this, then what else? Like I was like, what more? So I became really greedy and I lapped up all the free stuff in on online and on YouTube, and I started using all the tools. And
yeah,
every day I saw some change, and every day I found myself being a little more joyful. Actually, it was really dangerous because I would doubt it. I would go like, am I really feeling happy, and am I really feeling okay? And then it just went on, and the good part is within 6 months, like, and I was extremely, because it kind of I could sense the difference immediately. I
yeah,
became very particular about getting my bars run. So I would travel across the city, even if I had to take an auto or even if I have to take a taxi. I would travel across wherever there was a bar swap to get my bars run. I was also happy to pay for my bars. And the one cool thing that happened after the bars was I've been into so many modalities, but I always needed to be like perfect before I could share it with someone. But right after the bars, I was willing to, openly, publicly announce that I've learned something new, and I'm here and I'm willing to practice on like 10 people and come and experience it. And like 10 people turned to 20, and before I knew it, people were paying me for the sessions. I don't even know how that happened, to be very honest. It was not even planned. So, and then I started getting, I started getting paid for it. And then I started feeling like I actually wanted to wake up the next morning, which was freaking cool because, and it just got better and better. And even on like really low days, there was always a tool I could use to come to
yeah,
like a neutral or to feel at least okay. So that was great because I didn't need to stay in my blankets for very long, and I didn't need to depend on I didn't need to increase my dosage to feel good. And in 6 months, somewhere I got this thing that if I can start feeling this good, then there is a good chance that I don't need to be on meds. Even though the whole world told me that once you're bipolar for life. And once you
yeah. It's
take
not
the
going to change. You have to be on those
yeah,
medicines for the rest of
and
your life.
once you're on these neurologically altering medicines, dude, you
Yeah,
can't get off them. Uh, but within 6 months, I actually got a clean chit. I was
wow.
given a clean chit of not having any uh, mental illness, so to say.
That's
And
incredible because people go through a whole lifetime, with those
yeah,
labels attached and on those medications. And some of those medications can actually, so I'm not saying that sometimes you do need the medication and you need to be on it. I'm not saying
yeah,
that, every situation is the same. But yeah, I do know that, there are a lot of side effects of those medicines as well.
yeah. And
And they become
that's
habit forming.
But that's the cool thing because I was getting my bars run very regularly. To be very honest, weaning me off the medicines was the easiest thing the doctor had to do. I had no freaking side symptoms, and
Beautiful.
interestingly, like my body just like was so responsive to the bars and also the desire to be happy. I think and desire to have more in life that it just supported me. I was off in 6 months. There was not even one single pill that I had to take, and that was in 2013, and it's
Yeah.
2020. I have never taken a pill after that. So
Incredible.
yeah. So for
Yeah.
me, that was huge. And when I saw that change, then I started focusing on, I had this belief that I'd scarred my children for life because I was such a absent mom and an angry mom. I remember one day I was sitting with my husband and I told him that I think you should remarry and get them a better mother because if they live with me, I will drive them to drugs.
Oh my God.
That's the level of
Sangeeta.
insanity.
Wow.
I swear that was the level of insanity in my world. And, I'm just so glad he didn't take me very seriously. And he was like, "You're mad, but, no, doesn't work like that. I'm not just going to marry anyone and get a new mom for the kids." Like, hello. And I'm so grateful that he didn't because they really pushed me to. Um, Somewhere I believe your children like choose you because they know that you're going to create that space for them where they can be themselves, and this was what I was asking for me, and
Yeah.
Access gave me that. So one class led to another, to another, to another. Within a year and a half I'd become a certified facilitator. I have no idea how that happened, but I just know that it was just I kept choosing more, kept choosing more. And
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I'm very, very grateful for it. If I could live life all over again, I'd still choose this. I'd still choose
How,
to facilitate.
how wonderful. Sangeeta, I have a few more comments here. I'll quickly share them. Isha says, "Hey Sangeeta, you're a great person, very encouraging, so brave. Wish you all the best in life." And Rohini has said, "Hi Sangeeta."
Thank you.
So Mona is also watching us and she says, "You both are super inspiring."
Thank you, Mona.
And Kamal says, "So brave of you to share your life so openly." So I think, it's quite incredible that, the journey that you encountered in that short span of time and how much change, you were able to find in your life. And I think when you talked about that bit where you said that you shared with your husband that he should remarry and find another, mom for your children, I think, that bit really really hit me hard, Sangeeta, because uh, that must have been a very very tough time for you, to
Well, yeah, it
have
was.
have been in
Actually,
that space, to think that that is what you need to do to be a good mom, right? That is what, you know
yeah. I
you
think
thought that.
yeah, the greatest gift from Access for me is that I learned that I don't have to be a good mom. There is no such thing as a good mom. I just have to
Yeah.
be a present mom. I just have to be a
Yeah.
mother that kind of taps into what is required in the moment and do that. And like if that means pulling my children or like giving them a little, scolding, then that's what they get. And if it is to uh, have their backs and give them a high five, then that's what it takes. But like just being there and letting them know that, hey, you know what, you're unstoppable. No matter what happens in your life, there's always something more available. And like I think I lived the life that I wanted them to be inspired by, and that for me was. I think the greatest gift Access gave me is that it's okay to be me, and that's the only thing I wanted to give my kids. That it's absolutely okay to be you, no matter what that is. You don't have to have 20 trophies to be
Yeah.
what to be you to be like worth it, to be deserving.
Yeah.
You are already deserving. What do you want to do now? Just by choosing to be alive, you're a gift. Now, what do you want to do? So, for me, with my children, is all about having fun and, of course, encouraging them in whichever area they'd like to go forward. I am a very chilled mom. My husband is the one who actually pulls them up a lot more, and I'm really grateful
Yeah.
for that because I think both is required. And
Yeah. That's true.
yeah, both aspects are required. And from being someone who couldn't scream at her children because I really genuinely believe I was going to drive them to drugs. So
Yeah.
and if I did scream at them, I would end up crying myself and feeling extremely guilty and not being able to handle the situation. To someone who now, if that is what is required, I'm extremely happy to give them a loud screaming. And then when they turn around and tell me, sometimes you can be really mean, and I'm like, and guess what? I'm the only mom you have, so deal with it.
Beautiful.
So yeah,
Sangeeta, so tell me a little bit about your relationship with your husband, because obviously, uh, he supported you a lot through, these times.
yeah. Actually, I think I drove him insane with my insanity, and I think he's just a very brave man to still be with me. I've been crazy in all sorts of ways, of course, medically as well, and now with the level of freedom I have allowed myself to have, it's like insane, and I don't think any other man could have kept up with me. So I'm extremely grateful for him. Um, he's always known. So we were friends before we got married. So he always knew of my gypsy nature, of the fact that I never
Yeah.
stayed in one place. And that was my concern when I was getting married. I was like, what if I woke up one morning and I didn't want to be here? You know?
Yeah.
And he was very casually, he told me that we'll deal with it when that happens. You know? So, um, and like for me, like I told you, when I was growing up, I was told that, oh, you know what, when you get married, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
When you have children, it'll be fine. So when I did get married, I kind of made it like a mission, I'm gonna do everything correct because then I'll finally be okay. So, I'm gonna fit into his family and I'm gonna fit into his life and I'm gonna fit in with his friends. And the more I did that, the sadder I got, the more upset I got, the more depressed I got because it was taking me away from who I was. Till one day it just blew up in my face. So it's not like it's always been rosy, but I think we've
Of
been better
course.
friends. Yeah, but we've been better friends always. So it's been
Yeah.
great to we fought. We've also like interestingly reached a place where we didn't want to live with each other. We
Okay.
actually walked ourselves to the divorce lawyer, and at the divorce lawyer, we looked at each other and just burst out laughing. And the lawyer just went, "Go home." Like two little kids who were he's like, just go home. I don't want to deal with the two of you. And we just laughed all the way back. But the fights have been as real. But I think the
Yeah.
tools have really helped me, yeah,
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
through and
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So
Sangeeta, Rohini, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think the one thing that tickles him and the one thing that also sort of is a pain point for him is the fact that I don't really need anyone, and I choose to be with people because you make me happy. So that's a pain point and a good plus for him. He says, okay, if you're still with me, that means I make you happy, and but it's a bummer that you don't really need me. But I guess it works. Like, yeah.
So, Rohini says, always
So
love your
yeah,
vulnerability,
it's
Sangeeta, and
it's
your
not.
relationship with your kids is so beautiful. Can you hear me,
Yeah, it
Sangeeta?
is. It is. It is now. Of course, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. There was just a bit of a lag. Sorry, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was saying thank you, Rohini. And I mean, I'm sure my kids don't feel like that all the time, but it's great because they mostly feel like that. So that's good for me. They don't have to feel like that all the time. If they feel like that all the time, then I may not be doing a good job.
Yeah, and there might be a lot of people who are watching this now who might be familiar with Access, but there might be a lot of people who are not familiar with Access as well. Also when people watch the replay, there were a couple of things, about Access I wanted you to share. So maybe you can just very briefly describe Access as a modality, what it is. And the second thing I wanted you to share with us is about being present, because that's something that's come up a lot in the conversation. So when you're talking about being present, what does that really mean?
Yeah. So first, let me tell you what Access is. Okay, so it's basically a modality that was created by these two amazing gentlemen called Gary Douglas and Dane here. And of course, for all the technical details, you can always visit the website and know more.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to share about Access that, from my perspective, that created so much for my life is it's a toolkit, and it has all these amazing tools like asking a question, clearing what all your conclusions about life, and the ability to, I mean, it gives you this space of being you and without making you wrong. It's about like, hey, you know what? nothing is the end of the world. It doesn't matter where you are, no matter where you are right now. If you choose to use the tools, you can just change everything in your life. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's whether it's relationship, whether it's your health. And for me personally, everything changed. And it's what I love about Access is they give you tools to empower you. So you're not like once you do like a class, like I told you, like once I did the bars class, for the longest time I didn't do any class. I was just hogging onto all the free stuff, and there's so much free stuff available. And when you start using the tools work like 200%. And if you, but the only catch is to use them, because most of us, when we learn something, we know it, but then we don't apply it. And I don't think reality. I think it becomes a way of life.
Sangeeta, I think you've frozen for a moment there.
Am I back? Am I back now?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, you're back now. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So so that's what I love about it, and I think maybe my first two classes were about solving a problem. And this is what I love about
Yeah.
Access. My first two classes were about solving a problem. After that, it was about what would I like my reality to look like? What would I like to create as my reality and my family's reality and my life? And, what would I like to see out in the world? And it's simple. You don't have to like go to a cave and meditate for 2 hours. You don't have to depend on anyone else. You can use all the tools by yourself. You can use them in real time while you're doing everything else, and keep changing moment to moment. And it's all about just choosing something else. Just choosing something else. If this doesn't work for you, just choose something else. So it gave me a lot of freedom, and I love facilitating it. I love seeing people receive that glimmer of I can change, or that glimmer of oh my god, I don't have to be upset anymore, or that glimmer of oh my god, money doesn't have to be a problem, or you mean I can choose for myself? You mean it's okay to be me? I love seeing that, and I watch it. Every time I facilitate a class, it facilitates me as well, and so I can go on and on about it. So, Rammona, if you have anything specific
Yeah.
that you want me to talk about,
No, I
there's
think that'll give a good that'll give people a good idea about what Access is about. And like you said, of course, they
yeah,
can individuals can always look it up on the website, and there's a lot of information there, and there are a lot of free tools there as well. That are available.
yeah,
So that's always a good place to start if you want to explore Access. So tell me
yeah,
about the present, Sangeeta. What does it mean to be present? Like whether it's in your own life, whether it's for someone else. What exactly does it mean to be present? Because that's been an integral part of the conversation so far.
yeah. So I grew up with like a mom who was well, she didn't know it. She was going through depression, but that now in retrospect, I understand that she was depressed, and my father was actually alcoholic. So I had a set of parents who were always checked out. One under the influence, and one because she didn't know like what was going on with her. And having of that, and knowing the effect of what it does to the people around you, and especially your kids.
Yeah.
And
I think
my when I well, for me, present is just the willingness to look at something for what it is, no matter how painful, how
okay.
what it is, and then willing to look at it and go like, okay, if I've created this, then I can do something else. Being present with children has always been like, what do they require right now? What do I desire them to be? But what do they right now?
Sangeeta, can't hear
Like
you any
mostly,
longer.
I've watched parents. You can't hear me.
Yeah, there is some you're freezing and
Is
there's
it
a
better?
lag. So no, I'm just going to ask you to rejoin the stream perhaps, if that's okay.
Fine, I'll do
It's
that.
kind of
I will do that now.
frozen. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for being, here today and sharing this conversation. My guest today is Sangiita Kochhar, and so far we've had a very, very interesting conversation. Sangeeta has been talking about how she was able to change her life. She was someone who was going through many years of actually struggling and being in a place where she wasn't even sure if she wanted to wake up the next day. So from there to a place where she's now traveling the world, she's facilitating classes, she's actually changing people's lives after having changed her own. And I think what she mentioned was that it wasn't um, really with an expectation that she went into this particular workshop, but she knew that she wanted to change something. And I think that was the underlying force in her life, that she was looking for change. And access consciousness is something that she encountered, and she was able to get massive change. She applied those tools, whatever she learned in her first workshop, and right from the start she could see a difference. Like she said, the next day when she woke up, she actually was happy being alive, and she had this newborn curiosity for what life could hold for her. I am just waiting for Sangeeta to join us. She was having some technical issues, and I'm hoping that she'll be able to join us really soon. In the meantime, there are a few comments here. I'm just going to share them. Utkarsh says, so inspiring and encouraging. And I have Andrea here who says, Rammona Jean, so proud of you. Thank you, Andrea. This conversation series is just, something that helps me connect with a lot of people who are brave in their own unique way, who have the courage to change the world. And they're doing it in their own way. I mean, each person that I've got, on my conversation series, I've just learned so much from them. It's incredible how a lot of times people just being themselves think that, that's not enough. And like Sangeeta said in our conversation so far, that she came to a point where she realized that just being her was what was required. It wasn't about, having to be a certain way or, achieve something in particular, but just being joyful, being happy, being grateful for being alive was what, was beautiful. And, working from that perspective, she was able to change her life even further and, affect change in other people's lives as well. So what I was saying was that every individual who comes, on my conversation series, Keeping It Real with Rammona, they've actually, inspired me in so many ways, not only before coming on, but in those conversations that happen. It's really, really interesting how each person has their own, unique way that they are actually changing the world. They are doing things in a different manner from what other people might traditionally think this is the way, to lead your life or to live your life. So I think that is, what really keeps me going with this conversation series. And I'm hoping that, you, whoever's watching this now or later, finds inspiration with these stories. And sometimes, something in a conversation might start something, in terms of a change for you or for someone else. We don't know what that conversation is going to create for someone else in their world. I think Sangeeta's back. I'm just going to join her. Yeah, there she is. Hi, Sangeeta.
Yeah, is it better
Yeah.
now?
Much better, very clear. So I was just sharing with folks who are watching this now or later. I was just kind of talking about some of the things that you spoke about, and there were a few comments here, Sangeeta, while you were gone. Utkarsh says, so inspiring and encouraging. And Gunjan says, awesome, you are Sangeeta Kochhar, great work, Rammona. And what I was talking about was that, the reason why I've been doing this conversation series and hope to continue doing it is that we don't know what in that conversation might inspire someone, to change or give you just hope. Like there are a lot of other people out there. It's not necessary that you have to be a mom only, right? To have that sense that you don't really want to be a parent any longer, or you're not doing, the parenting the way you'd like, or you're in depression and you don't want to wake up the next day. It could be anyone, going through that.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
sharing your story, hearing your story, uh, is definitely going to help people know that there is something that can change your life completely, and it doesn't necessarily have to be access. So this whole conversation has been about access to a large extent, but I think that whole quest to really change whatever you're experiencing is very important,
Yeah.
because if
It's
you give up hope,
yeah. Yeah.
then
It's about, it's very, I mean, that is it. When you don't give up hope, and when you like,
yeah,
for me there was like a ping from within, like there's got to be more. I can't believe that this is all life is about. I can't believe that this is all I'm here for.
yeah,
There's got to be more. So just following that, and also not giving up hope, of course. And also, like, for me, it's like the greatest piece of freedom that I got from. Well, I know that this is about access, but even having done all those modalities, the piece
yeah,
of freedom I got from access was, hey, you're the creator of your life, and so if you don't like what you're creating, you just gotta start choosing something different, because what you're choosing is creating this. So now you just have to start choosing something different. And the second missing piece was for me, like this question, and I get that a lot in my classes as well. When people come to do classes with me, they also ask, how do you choose? It's simple. It's just like how you breathe. You just choose. Like, just like how you choose what to wear in the morning. You just choose what you'd like to see in your life. And what I love about this modality is it just doesn't say that. Like, right, if it's telling you, hey, you know what, you can choose something different, it's not just telling you, hey, you can choose something different. You may have heard that in so many other places, that you don't like what you're
yeah,
doing, just choose something different. It also says, hey, you know what, you can choose something different. And if you're having a hard time just choosing, here's a tool. Just use this, clear that difficulty, and then choose. Okay, you know what? You're the creator of your life. You don't like what you've created. Here's another tool. You can just start clearing what you've created so that you can make space for something different. And there is a tool for everything, and I think that's what makes it easy, and that's what
yeah.
makes it, like, possible for you to do it no matter where you are. Like, I know that in my introduction you said that I travel the world. It was till the COVID came. To our heads. I haven't traveled for the last 5 months, but it hasn't stopped anything in my life. I continue choosing, and I've been doing my classes online. There's in fact there's been more money than I've seen in my life before,
Wow.
despite the world being in another place. But for me, financially, it's been a gift. Even though I'm sitting at home, and for me too, that was like a great discovery that, hey, I don't have, we think we need to do something in a particular way to have what we desire. But actually, when you ask for something and then you just go and you're willing to be surprised, there are always better and more beautiful ways and greater ways that can show up. So I've had a really amazing time during this lockdown, facilitating, being in other classes online, and all those classes that I used to travel for. Now we're all doing it
Yeah,
online. The world's become the
absolutely.
screen,
Yeah.
you know. So yeah, yeah,
So Sangeeta, we were talking about being present when we
yeah,
had that technical glitch. So can we
yeah.
just go back to that part of the conversation? I think that's very
Yeah, for
important.
sure, for sure. So for me, like, being present is just the willingness to not, like, most of us like tend to, we're not even present with ourselves. We may be feeling a certain thing and we're not even willing to look at that. And then we tend to stuff it, or we tend to push it under the carpet, and we're not even willing to, like, ask ourselves a question and, like, go like, okay, or even acknowledge that you are capable of that emotion or that sensation or that thought. And for me, being present is the willingness to look at it but not judge it. That's all. To just see things for what they are, and then go like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I can actually think like this or feel like this. But is it something that I'd like in my life? And if not, then I have the tools to change it. And even like being present with someone else, it's like being willing to let them, being present with someone is having their back, but not telling them what to do. It's just being the space so that they feel okay choosing what they are choosing. They feel okay to, like, even with my kids, like, I always ask them a question instead of telling them what to do. Whenever, like, they're throwing a fit, or whenever they are doing something that may not create great, I always ask them, hey, this choice, what do you think this is going to create? Just putting that question, that they can choose to be, pissy, and they can choose to be low, but we still want to do it. Great, and then they learn from their experience. That's how I learned. I fell a lot of times before I stood up, and even now when I fall, I experience the fall and then I stand up. So they're allowed to have that, but I like, honestly, as a parent, I would really like to tell, like, people out there, your kids they chose you to have their own lives, not to live yours. So back off. One.
True.
Like, literally just back off, let them live their life. And you can't protect them from the world, but what you can do is equip them with tools to be more aware, to really, like, follow their own instincts. When you make that strong in a child, they know exactly. We all have that instinct, right? We all know when we're choosing something, whether it's creating more space and joy, or whether it's creating like a gunk. And if you just, like, teach your children that if it's creating a gunk, you may not want to do that. And if it's creating that space, go ahead and do it. And, just giving them that freedom. There are these small simple tools that are given my kids that I see has made their life so much easier and greater. And when I facilitate, I mean, it's the same for adults as well. It's not just children. Because how many of us have been told that, you're aware, you always know. And most of us have grown up being told you don't know. I was told all the time that,
True.
you're wrong, you don't know. Tumhe nahi pata, tumhe nahi pata, tumhe nahi pata. So, to actually meet that you that has always known. And I'm so glad I never gave it up. Jitna bhi anyone's told me that tumhe nahi pata, I'm so glad I never gave up, that I knew that there was something more in life. That you're not supposed to go through whatever this reality calls the way to live as the grind and nothing else. You're magic. You can just choose anything. You can experience anything. You can have anything. And it may sound very airy fairy, me saying this from the place where I am today, but I have
Yeah.
been on the other end too. When I went for my,
Yeah.
I was talking to you about this, Ramona. When I went for my first
Yeah.
Access workshop,
Yeah.
I didn't have that workshop costed 4,500. I was a housewife, a depressed housewife, a torn, like a, absolutely depressed mother who didn't work. I didn't have 4,500
Yeah.
on me. I had to ask my husband for that money, right? And it's been 7 years. I've traveled the freaking globe doing classes worth lakhs, spending money on
Yeah.
flights, and I've never had to ask my husband any money. That was like, for me, like, when I look back and I go like, oh, okay, if someone like me can do it, and I don't have any special qualifications, I'm just a graduate, to be very honest. That's all I did. I did BA honors. I did a couple of courses after that on the side, but I'm not specialized. I'm not a doctor or an engineer or an
Sure.
artist, or, I don't have, all these thoughts that you have, that you need to be like, you need to have all of these degrees, and you need to have, not to say that you shouldn't study. If that's what you love, please go ahead. But
Yeah.
for me,
Absolutely.
yeah. But for me, it was like, from where I started to where I am today. All I did was just keep choosing. That's it. I just
Yeah.
chose and used the tools and kept choosing and kept choosing and kept choosing, and everything changed. So I think. Yeah, I think all of us know inside our tummies that there's something more. All I want to tell people is there is, and don't give up. Like, keep on that quest. Like, keep going for that more. And whether you do
Yeah.
it through your own knowing, or through any modality that you choose, or choosing whatever it is that you choose, just don't stop. And don't, like, for me, I think the invitation is, don't stop because someone else said that this is it, because you know this is not it, you know
True.
like,
True.
the world just keeps telling you, like, up kya. I remember when I was when I was unwell, people used to come and tell me, like, I don't understand what your problem is. So even family would come and tell me, like, I don't know
Wow.
what's your problem. You have a good husband, you have two great children, you are married into this beautiful family, and it's true. And you have, like, this whole support system that most people don't have. You don't have to work for money. You have everything. I don't understand why you can't be grateful instead of being upset, as though it was in my hands to be upset. But and for so long I made myself wrong. I was like, oh God, it's true. Like, I have
Yeah.
everything that a normal person would ask for,
Yeah.
and I'm still not happy. You know. And I could very well just kill my dreams and learn to be happy and force it upon myself. But I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad I did. There's
I'm also so
something.
glad that you
Yeah,
didn't and you kept searching for more because,
yeah. I think,
in the years I've known you, I've seen you evolve and change even more from the first time I met you, you know.
yeah,
And I think what's exciting about Access for me personally is that it's not like a serious modality. It's not like, okay, now you've got to do this, now you've got to do that. And if you don't do this, this will happen, all that ritualistic bit. It's
true.
like explore, have fun, play with the tools, see what shows up,
Yeah,
experiment, ask questions, and it's
yeah,
like when we see the change, that's when we know it works for us, right?
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
when we want to share the tools with other people. And in
yeah.
fact, I just got reminded, I'm sure I've told you this, I don't know if you remember or not, but the class that I did with you, which was my first, sort of introduction to Access, was a bars class. And so we both live in Delhi, but Sangeeta and I live quite far apart. So normally, I think it can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, 20 minutes if, it's rush
From
hour
my place to
from your
yours.
place to my place. So
Yeah,
I finished the workshop and I was heading home, and it was about 6 something in the evening, 6:30 or so. And so, normally it would have, been like a long drive back. And I don't know, some part of the conversation that we had during the class, one of the tools I started applying and using, and I was home in 25 minutes during rush hour. And when I experienced that day, it was like, yes, this works. you know so it's still, you
absolutely.
don't experience the magic of it, you don't know. It's like,
Yeah,
keep searching and find what it is that's going to help you change your life. Don't give up.
yeah,
And so I'm very,
absolutely.
very grateful that you're here today, Sangeeta, having this conversation with me.
Me
And I'm
too.
sure there'll be many people who are going to, either watch this now or later and know that, that they're not wrong. Number one, like you said, we're
Yeah.
not wrong.
They're
And
not wrong. And
yeah,
if you're not happy where you are, it's only because you know there's something greater possible. Not because you're not thankful, not because you're not contented. Don't buy that. You know that this reality, there's something more than this reality offers, and all of that like lies within you. You just need someone to show you that one little rope, and it'll unleash. And yeah, so don't give up, guys. Like, don't give up. Really don't.
thank you so much, Sangeeta, for being here and having this conversation with me
Thank you,
today.
Ramona. I'm
And
so glad that you called me on this, and I'm so happy to do this with you, because you're right. Like, from that first class, you talk about how much I've changed, but have you ever acknowledged how much you've changed and how far you've come? Like, hosting, and I've been watching your series. It's beautiful, and like I've watched all the guests, and I love that you have such young guests in your program. I see the children of today, and I know that a different reality is being created, and there's going to be a totally different world, and I'm super excited to be living in one where there are these superheroes who are doing so much already, and yeah,
yeah, true. So yeah, like, I mean, I try to get like different people, including children, and I find actually, younger. It's not that I don't find older people or people my age, inspiring, but yes, like, the younger generation is definitely, I find that at a younger age, choosing even more and more,
yeah,
and that is inspirational to me. That
absolutely,
people who are so young are
absolutely.
willing to, have conversations, are willing to change their lives, are willing to actually work at changing other people's lives, forget their own also.
Yeah,
So
I keep thinking that if I was like that at that age, oh God knows what I would be doing right now, right? But I mean, age is just a number. I still have a long way to go, and there's
of
so much
course,
more experience. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Sangeeta, for being here, and keep spreading your magic, and keep smiling, keep shining. Lots of
Thank
love to you,
you.
and thank
Thank
you for
you.
being, you, and choosing more and being the inspiration that you are to me and so many other people in the world.
Thank you, Ramona. I look forward to seeing more of your episodes, and I wonder what else is really possible with this one.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.